clavodeltoid, acromiodeltoid, spinodeltoid, levator scapulae ventralis, clavotrapezius, acromiotrapezius, and spinotrapezius, latissimus dorsi. Now looking at the muscles underneath or deep to your trapezius muscle, just like we had in the human. So we're lifting up our acromiotrapezius, and we're trying to expose the muscles of the scapula. So we lifted up our acromiotrapezius, we're going to lift up our spinotrapezius, and we're also going to reflect or retract our latissimus dorsi. Now, taking a closer look at the muscles of your scapula, you see the following. Here's the scapula. All this is the scapula bone. Remember, across the scapula bone, you had your spine of your scapula, spine of your scapula. So, if this is the spine, above the spine of the scapula, you have your supraspinatus. Supraspinatus, above the spine of the scapula, supraspinatus. And below the spine of the scapula, you have your infraspinatus. Supraspinatus, infraspinatus. Here you see, coming out and inserting onto the scapula bone, you have your rhomboideus major. Rhomboideus major. And this one right here is your teres major. Rhomboideus major, coming from right here, rhomboideus major. Teres major. Again, deep muscles of the back. Supraspinatus, infraspinatus, rhomboideus major, and teres major. What else do we see here? We see our levator scapulae ventralis, our spinodeltoid, acromiodeltoid, and clavodeltoid. Let's put down let's view the deep muscles of the neck area. Here we see we have our, underneath the scapula you would see your subscapularis muscle. Here you have three rhomboideus muscles. We have our rhomboideus capitis, rhomboideus minor, all this muscle, rhomboideus minor. And here at the bottom we have our rhomboideus major, as we see, comes out and inserts onto the posterior portion of the scapula. Again, let's review. We have our rhomboideus capitis, rhomboideus minor, and our rhomboideus major muscle. Rhomboideus capitis, rhomboideus minor, and rhomboideus major muscle. Another muscle, or bunch of muscles, group of muscles that are deep or underneath the latissimus dorsi. So if you see the latissimus dorsi reflected back, you see each muscle that connects individually to each rib, which aid in respiration or inhaling and exhaling for breathing. These are called the serratus ventralis. Serratus ventralis. In the human, these muscles are called serratus anterior. In the cat, name this muscle serratus ventralis. All of them. Serratus ventralis. The other muscles that were deep to the latissimus dorsi were on the scapula. You had your rhomboideus major and your teres major. Also seen your infraspinatus. Again, deep muscles that you view underneath your latissimus dorsi are as follows. Your serratus ventralis. On the scapula you have your rhomboideus major and your teres major, your infraspinatus. And now let's take a look at the muscles of the arm. The muscles of the arm are as follows. Here we see we have our triceps muscles. Triceps, tri means three, remember? So here you have your triceps brachii long head, triceps brachii, long head. Out to the side, we have our triceps brachii, lateral head. Triceps brachii, lateral head. So triceps brachii, long head, triceps brachii, lateral head, which do not have to be dissected out. And then you have your, underneath your triceps brachii, lateral head, you have your triceps brachii, medial head. So what do we see in this position? We have our triceps brachii, long head. Our triceps brachii, lateral head is reflected back. And in the center, we have our triceps brachii, medial head.
And the one above
is our brachialis. Again, triceps brachii, long head, triceps brachii, lateral head, triceps brachii, medial head, and brachialis. Continuing to the lower portion of the arm, or the forearm, we can see the following muscles. Here, coming off of our brachialis muscle, we see a division, or an extension of it, that inserts on the radius bone. This portion is known as our brachio. Follow it, it goes to the thumb. Brachioradialis. So always try to start with your brachioradialis muscle and then count or continue downward. So brachioradialis. Remember now, we don't see the palm, we're on the back of the hand, so we're on the extensor side. So brachioradialis, this muscle right here, is our extensor. Extensor, follow it up, carpi, and we're on the thumb side, radialis. So extensor, carpi, radialis, and it's the longest division. So extensor, carpi, radialis, longest, seen from both from both sides of the cat. So brachioradialis, extensor, carpi, radialis, longest. Extensor digitorum communis, extensor digitorum lateralis, extensor digitorum lateralis, and extensor carpi ulnaris. Extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor digitorum communis, extensor digitorum lateralis, and extensor carpi ulnaris.
Good.
Muscles of the lower arm from the ventral or belly side view. Remember, always start with your brachioradialis. So brachioradialis. Then we have our, we see our extensor carpi radialis, extensor carpi radialis longus muscle. Next, our triangular shaped pronator teres. Pronator teres. So brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis longus, pronator teres. This muscle right here. We see the palm of the foot or the hand. So palm side is always your flexor. Followed up, flexor, carpi, and we're on the thumb side, radialis muscle. Next, palmaris longus muscle. Next to your palmaris longus muscle, you have flexor carpi ulnaris, pinky side. So if we view it as first on this side, find your palmaris longus. It should be the largest muscle on this side. Palmaris longus, just like in the human. On both sides of your palmaris longus muscle, you have both flexors. So here's your palmaris longus. If you go to your thumb side, you have your flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi radialis. And if you go to the pinky side, you have your flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor carpi ulnaris, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris, and on the thumb side you have your flexor carpi radialis. So flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, and flexor carpi ulnaris. Again, let's review the muscles of the ventral side of the cat. First, find your brachioradialis. We have the extensor carpi radialis longus, pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris. Right next to your flexor carpi ulnaris, you have your extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digitorum lateralis, extensor digitorum communis, extensor carpi radialis longus, and your brachioradialis.